is going to be a brief overview of the Cosima Lean complaint management system that will be replacing Iris. And I wanted to begin just by introducing you to the system itself so that you're familiar with what it looks like. So when you go to make a complaint, this is the screen that you are going to see once the complaint is opened and started. And you can see we are in the complaint details section here, right where my mouse is. This will tell you what section you're in right up at the top left. And this is where general information about the complaint is going to be entered in the initial recording status taken place by the sales office. You can see that we have what's called the status of the complaint here, which we'll talk about just in a little bit. But this is going to be an important aspect of the complaint, checking the status that it's in. And if we scroll down the complaint entry page, you can see that there are these other sections, such as items, attachments, parties involved, and the list goes on. Now, whenever we refer to a new section of a complaint, this is what we are talking about. So to change to a different section, you can scroll down and click in to the arrow, and you can see that it opens up the next section, and you can click back in to close that section. Now also, to navigate sections, you can also come up here to this little icon and you get a drop-down menu of all the sections in the complaint, and you can access them through this way as well. So this is what the system looks like, and this is where information is going to be entered and information is going to be passed along. So we'll go ahead and jump into a brief presentation as to explain the differences between Cosima Lean and Iris, and to familiarize you with Cosima Lean terminology and a few roles and responsibilities in the system. So this is what the training is going to look like in the bigger picture. For this video, we'll only cover points 1 and 2, that being an overview of the Cosima process, outlining major differences between Iris and Cosima, becoming familiar with Cosima terminology, as well as reviewing the roles and responsibilities of different functions within the processing of a complaint. And for the later training, during the rollout, we will go through points 3, 4, 5, and 6 and work in the actual system itself. So we'll go ahead and begin just by reviewing the goal of complaint management, and that is restoring customer satisfaction by a settlement of the individual complaint that's appropriate in both fact and law. Now, even though systems are switching from Iris to Cosima, the underlying principles in complaint management are going to remain the same, and that's to include identification of the complaint, what the problem is that the customer is experiencing, trying to define that, justifying the decision and identifying fault sources that have caused the fault, solving problems and mitigating damages to the customer, formal handling of the complaint, and an internal elimination of problems and identifying and implementing effective corrective and avoidance measures to mitigate chances of this complaint happening again in the future. So we'll jump into identifying differences between Cosima and Iris.